It is coaching season, coaching change season, and apparently GM change season in the NFL. Let's start with the new coach out with the Jets. It is Aaron Glenn going back home. I I think this is a good move for them. I do think that if you're going this way, and I'm not in the interviews, so I don't know. I do feel like if you're going defensive coach, Brian Flores is probably the better option, in my opinion, just from what we have seen. We haven't seen Aaron Glenn. We haven't seen Aaron Glenn coach yet, so it is tough to judge that, but I do think Brian Flores, with how he was able to coach that defense up in Minnesota, the culture that he was trying to build out in Miami with significant resistance coming from ownership, and now getting a chance to kind of stick it to them would be, I think, a pretty fun thing for him to do. But Aaron Glenn, it didn't end really well for him with the Lions because of all the injuries and stuff like that, but they are looking for someone to come in and set that culture the way the Lions have. And it's weird still to talk about the Lions as the team that everyone is holding up as this cultural gold standard right now, but that is the guy that is kind of the system they're trying to do. They want to turn this thing around and turn this thing around very, very quickly. The one issue that you're going to have is you brought in the coach before the GM. So that's weird. And you would assume that there's going to be some symmetry there with whoever the general manager is that is brought in, but it doesn't seem like the order of operations is necessarily the way that it normally is with these particular decisions. So that is a bit of a surprising one out there. And also you have an owner who is not necessarily hands off, shall we say. It's a bit of a difficult situation that Aaron Glenn, I think, is walking into. Right away, accountability is a major problem for this team. And it has been for a really long time. And the guy who was supposed to change that was totally fine holding everyone else but himself accountable. Well, Aaron Glenn now has to hold everybody accountable. He is walking in probably without a quarterback as well. So any suggestion that this should be a quick fix for him is asinine. It's not going to be. They're going to need a couple of years to get this thing going. But the big thing right away is holding these players accountable and kind of setting that culture there. But he is not walking into a complete blank canvas either. Like the reason everyone was excited about Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets is the rest of the roster is really good. And maybe it's not as good as we thought it was going into last year, but there is a pretty strong foundation there. If they get the right quarterback, then it does help turn things around pretty quickly with the Jets. So overall, like it's a C plus move that does have the potential to move up because we just haven't seen Aaron Glenn do it before, but he has been at the helm of some pretty good defenses in the NFL. Trent Baalke is out with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The timing of this is very strange. Like, what's changed? You know, like we knew he was a bad GM when the season ended. So why, like a couple of GM hires have already been made. Why are you doing this now? The only thing I can think of is that there was with all of the coaching meetings and everything like that, they were saying like, what would maybe keep you from wanting this job? It's like, well, you have a lame duck GM who has been able to fire like 8 coaches, and I don't want to come into a spot where I think the GM's going to be fired in a year, and now maybe I'm not the guy with the general manager that you bring in. So maybe it was coming up in every coaching decision that they were making, and that was becoming a problem for them. But the timing of it is just very, very strange to me. He is not, this isn't a unjustified move. It is simply the timing of it that I find a little bit surprising. But now the new GM, I mean, the only pressure that he has is trying to maximize things around what was supposed to be a franchise quarterback who is looking more like a middle-of-the-road quarterback. And you have to hire a coach there as well. So you have to get this exactly right, basically right away. This isn't you know what, I'm going to come in, I'm going to find my guys, and we're going to progress some things. It is, you have to come up here in your first at bat and hit a grand slam. And we don't even know if you have all the people out on the bases to hit a grand slam, but you have to figure out how to hit a grand slam anyway. And it does not seem like it is a very exciting opportunity unless you can get it to work. Like, if you can do it, then you turn a franchise around, you turn a franchise quarterback around, and you actually have a pretty good base there. It is all about trying to maximize what you have in Trevor Lawrence. And the Vegas Raiders hiring John Spiddick as their new general manager, formerly of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers organization. It is 2025, and this is now the 5th general manager hire for Mark Davis since 2020. Now, that does include interim GMs, but still, Jesus. Talking about walking into a bit of a blank slate, that's basically what you have here. There is Max Crosby, there is Brock Bowers, and a few other dudes, and that's it. There is a lot of work to be done in Vegas. Because of a couple of wins late in the season, you have the 6th overall pick. And so your first job is to figure out the quarterback spot, because I truly believe that not having a quarterback in place is probably what cost them Ben Johnson. Because I would much rather go into things having to attack the NFC with Caleb Williams than I would try to figure out my own division featuring Herbert, Nixon, Mahomes with Aiden O'Connell in the 6th overall pick right now. So they need to figure out that quarterback spot, but they also kind of need to figure out just the rest of the roster. So it's an interesting spot to go into for Spiddick, who has been around a lot of good organizations. He's got to find the right coach and just about 40 of the right players. And this team will be on their way. But like I said, it is a bit of an interesting spot and would be a tantalizing one if you consider yourself a team builder in the NFL.